All right, so today we're going to start diving into properties of math, and we're going to take a look at four common properties: the associative property, commutative property, identity property, and distributive. So today we're going to really focus in on those first two. So first let's talk about what is a property in math? Is it a piece of land? Is it something you own like a bike? That's typically where our minds go when we hear the word property. But in math, it's not. It's actually considered to be like a rule. A math property is a rule that's always followed when you're working with math. So it's very important. These concepts are very simple, but they're very important to know when you're working in math. All right, so let's dive into the first one, associative property. This is a math property that states you can group numbers differently without changing your answer or outcome. So the big kind of factor that you want to look at is that associative has to deal with grouping. Think association or think associate. This is, I think, just an easy way to kind of put it together. So you may have two really good friends. When you play basketball, you may associate with one friend. So let's say this is you in the middle in the blue. And when you associate with basketball, you may, kind of gravitate towards your friends who play basketball. And when you're interested in computer games, you associate and group yourself with those who like computer games. So again, in the end, you still have those really good friends. You've got one who you like to play basketball with and you group yourself with, and then you have one that you can, group yourself with computer games. But you've got the same friends and you have the same three people. The same applies in math. It applies to addition problems and multiplication expressions. So here's just some examples here. Um, so example of addition here in blue, where if you notice the order, think about those people. We've got the same three numbers, the same three people, 3, a 5, and an 8. And if I look over here on the other side, 3, 5, 8. So again, I'm looking at the same numbers, but the way that I'm grouping them is different. In this first side, we're grouping the 5 and the 8. On the right side here, we're grouping the 3 and the 5. And it's just kind of like that same idea, grouping for basketball, grouping for computers. But in the end, we have the same three numbers in the same three order, and no matter how I add them up, I'm going to end up with the same answer. The same applies in multiplication. So again, here's my purple example down here. Again, same numbers, 3, 6, 5. 3, 6, 5, the same order. However, what is different again is the grouping, because associative property is always about grouping. Okay, so just to kind of give you a little bit more of an understanding of how this works. So again, for the addition, here's my original problem. 16, 10, 29. And if I look at here on the right, 16, 10, 29. What you should notice is, again, the grouping. On the left side here, we have the 16 and the 10 grouped together. On the right side, we have a 10 and a 29 together. But as you can see, the problem worked out here. Parentheses do, again, come first in operation, so we would perform that first. So you get 26, and then we add on 29, and you get a final answer of 55. Now, again, when you look on the right-hand side, you still do the parentheses first, and you get 39. When we add it to 16, we still get 55. So the big picture is, again, no matter how you group the numbers, the three numbers, five numbers, it doesn't necessarily always have to be three, but the sum or your answer, the outcome, whatever you want to call it, is not going to change. You're still going to get the same answer. You're just grouping things differently, and you're allowed to do that. Same thing for multiplication. You can group factors in different ways. So you see hot dogs here. You have a picture of 24 hot dogs over here. We have the same amount or equal amount here on the right, 24. But let's say we're looking at packaging. We could package them up different and still have a total of 24 hot dogs. So it's kind of the same idea. So over here, we've got three groups of 4 by 2 hot dogs. And over here, we've got four groups of 2 by 3 hot dogs. And again, no matter how you do it, whether we do the multiplication or count them up, we're going to end up with 24 hot dogs on both sides. So again, you can do it with multiplication and you can also do it with addition. All right, so the next property, taking a look at it, is commutative property. So again, kind of to make some connection to help you, kind of better connect with these words. Do your parents commute to work? Have you ever heard the word commute? Well, hopefully you have. And I always think of driving. You drive back and forth to somewhere, whether it's to work, whether it's to your friend's house, to the mall, wherever you're going. This is called commuting. So what do we have to do with math? It's the same idea. So let's look at just some problems here and kind of make our connections on our own. So if we look at this first problem on the right, 4 plus 5 is 9. If I switch the order and go 5 plus 4, guess what I still get? 9. 16 and 32, when I add them together, I get 48. 32 plus 16. So again, if I switch the order, 48. If I'm looking at multiplying, so these bottom ones here are multiplying. 2 times 3 is 6. And if I switch the 3 times 2, you still get 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Switch the order, 4 times 6, we get 24. So again, commutative property is just fancy for saying, hey, it allows you to change the order of terms without changing the answer. Now notice we're only dealing with multiplying and addition. The associative property and the commutative property only apply to addition and multiplication. So let's see how much you know. All right, which one of these terms is a property that states when the grouping of factors is changed? The answer or the outcome stays the same. So again, which one of those words has to do with grouping? Hopefully you said associative. And again, this is just to kind of see if you're on pace, if you know what you're doing. All right, how about flip side? The property that states when the order of factors changed, the answer or the outcome is the same. This time, order, we're talking about commutative. And again, it's from your house to your friends, from your friends to your house. You're commuting, right? But the order in which you go doesn't really matter. All right, name the property that is used here. So 6 times 8 is equal to 8 times 6. So you kind of want to ask yourself, does this have to do with grouping or does that have to do with order? Hopefully you're noticing that it deals with the order. So this would be commutative. All right, how about the property here? 7 times 1 times 4 equals the quantity of 7 times 1 plus 4. All right, hopefully you're noticing that the order is actually the same, 7, 1, 4, 7, 1, 4. So it is not commutative. And what you should notice is that the grouping is different. Here on the left, my 1 is grouped in with my 4, and on the right, my 1 is grouped in with the 7. So that would be associative. All right, take a look at this one. What property is shown here? All right, hopefully you're noticing this time it's the same numbers, but my order is different. 3 times 12, 12 times 3. So that would be commutative. All right, last one here. So this adds another little twist to it. So find the missing number and name the property that you use. So you should be able to tell what number goes in that blank based on equivalent expressions, right? We find the answer on the left and we have to have that same answer on the right in order for them to be equal. But you should also kind of take a look and see, okay, what 3 numbers am I looking at? So hopefully you're able to see there, the missing number is 42. So that brings us down to it's not 56. It's not 56. So the second part there is name that property that helped you identify that number and represents what is going on in those equivalent expressions. Right, hopefully you were able to tell that it is all about groupings. The 99 is grouped with the 56, and over here my 99 decided it wanted to group with the 42. So again, it's just how it's written, but grouping is all about association or associative property. So hopefully that was helpful to review those math properties. Again, pretty simple. We're looking at whether the order changes or whether the grouping changes. But again, when we put all of the properties together, it can kind of get a little tricky. And again, it's important to know these properties in order to be successful in math. So tomorrow we'll move on. If you were in the live class session, we did these problems together. We actually went a little bit further and did some more practice activities. But I want you, if you are someone who did not attend the live class session and is not in person, what I want from you to show me that you knew or that you watched this entire video is I want you to submit in the text box. Go ahead and hit submit and tell me that you watched the video in order to get your participation points. So again, this is only for the people who did not come in person and did not attend a live session. Go ahead and submit a text entry box letting me know that you watched this video.